What's going on, Ambitious Vet? Welcome to another episode of the Ambitious Vet Show. I'm your host, Chris Hoffman. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, surviving sales trainer, author, and award-winning entrepreneur who realized immediate transition education expires when you desire more than just your basic needs being met. On this show, we dive into the trenches with today's top subject matter experts, share inspiring transition stories, and provide masterclasses to equip you with the realistic perspective on how to reach your potential post-military. If you haven't already, go ahead and grab your favorite whiskey and cigar or wine, or if you're in the car, turn it up and let's rock and roll. You know, Ambitious Vet, we started this journey 5 years ago as a Facebook group just to test my assumption that there was a veteran like myself who got out and realized that immediate transition education expires when you are ambitious and looking to reach your full potential post-military. Look, I know it sounds corny, but you know, the more I get more involved with the veteran community over the past 4 or 5 years that we've been doing this movement, is there are a lot of veterans that are out there that are trying to find that secret formula to success post-military, right? It's not this Tony Robbins, oorah, yay, 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 cheerleading stuff. There are veterans out there. They just don't want to admit it. The question is, are you willing to admit it, right? You know, 5 years ago, we started with a pipe dream based on my story. Now, 5 years later, we reach thousands of growth-minded veterans between our podcast, email lists, and social media groups. And just like Facebook groups have become saturated, podcasts are now getting saturated. And we want to invite you to be one of our initial 20 beta users of our brand new exclusive social network for ambitious vets, where you can grow and advance in life together without all the distractions of mainstream media. We're at around 10 applications right now. We're looking for 10 more by the end of the month, but it looks like we're going to be able to do that probably by the end of next week. And it's August 3rd, 2022 right now. So if you're listening to this, in 2023, just come and join the platform. There'll be plenty of veterans in our official launch, and you'll be well ahead of the curve as well. So just come in and join. But our goal with this platform, Ambitious Vet, is to equip you with the tools, the connections, and content to succeed in life post-military after immediate transitional education expires. Like I said, 20 beta users we're looking for, just to give us some initial feedback. If you are interested in that, go check out ambitiousvetnetwork.com. Ambitious is spelled AMBITIOUS. Vetnetwork.com. I'll also post a website link in the show notes below. There you can apply and start your 14-day free trial. You'll be able to take your self-assessment there, and then we'll be able to connect and matchmake you with coursework, upcoming live virtual events, and also other ambitious vets looking to improve in the same area of life that you self-reported inside that assessment. So we're super excited about this. I wish this was alive back when I first got out of the Marine Corps in 2012. It probably would have accelerated a lot of things in my life. So at least it's better late than never. And I'm excited to bring this to the veteran community. So if you're looking to become one of the first users to bring a lot of influence in the direction of this product, it's going to continue to grow. Might as well get in now and be able to influence the direction. Go check out ambitiousvetnetwork.com. And I hope to see you on the other side of the platform.
It's time to get into the trenches, dig into your purpose, and fire up your life's fulfillment. The Ambitious Vet Podcast starts now.
What's going on, Ambitious Vet? We are right back inside the trenches this week with Daris Mcinnis. Daris is a full-time doctoral student at Penn GSE, Graduate School of Education, and a summer learning curriculum specialist at the Free Library of Philadelphia. Prior to Penn, Daris served as an early childhood teacher in Washington, D.C., an education pioneer in New Orleans, Louisiana, and 5 years on active duty as an Ordnance Logistics Officer in the United States Army. I got to tell you, Ambitious Vet, we found him from listening to another relevant veteran podcast called Beyond the Uniform. Go and check that out. That is an OG in the space on top of Veteran on the Move with Joe Crane. And was just blown away by his passion for helping veterans transition out and find purpose, find a great career path inside the educational field. So I hope that you get a lot from this interview. Darius, are you there?
I'm here, Chris. Thank you for having me.
Hey, man, pleasure to have you, man. Hopefully I didn't butcher your name too much. And hopefully that introduction kind of matches who you are, man, and all that good stuff. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. My Twitter handle is actually, it's so funny. It's that, like, it says on there, my name is not Darius, it's Daris, but it's okay. I've had that my whole life. But I am very grateful to be here. I love this podcast. I love what you're doing with providing more info for vets, man. And I mean, it really is an honor to be here. So thank you for having me.
No, I appreciate that, Daris. So, and thanks for doing that. Us Marines, man, we like to grab different crayons every now and again. So, thanks for joining the show, brother. And feel free to fill the gaps inside the introduction, man. Like something that you're excited about, side hobby, something that people may not know about you.
Yeah, I would just say one, I'm currently teaching classes in literacy at a Westchester. It is in Pennsylvania. So I teach pre-service teachers how to teach kids how to read, which is really cool. And I'm still working with the library, which is really nice. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it, man. I've just been finishing up the dissertation and looking to do a few more things, outside of, just teaching and, I'm hoping to find some new ways to get back to the community. So I can talk a little bit more about that like later on.
Yeah. And how's the dissertation going?
It's going well, man. It's I it's an experience like it's everyone has similar experiences with it because it's so tedious. There's a lot that goes into it, and there's a lot that you question about yourself. But then the more you do it, the more you go along, and the more you are just going through the process, the more you realize about yourself. And so for veterans or for anyone who really wants to do it and feel like, that they're not smart enough or they don't have the right ideas, I would argue otherwise. Our experiences really make us very unique, particularly in the field of education. So if you're looking to do some very critical and some rigorous work in education, please come. And I'd be happy to connect with folks about how I've been able to navigate this. And I sound a little tired because it's also a tiring process. So I apologize if my volume's kind of low. It's a lot of writing and rewriting and editing and doubting and wine and sleep. So
Yeah, you got a lot going on, brother, and we appreciate you making the time to come on here. And I said this a long time ago. We've been doing this podcast for 4 years now, and I tell everyone that listens to the show that actually like gives us any rating or review or sends us an email or even guests, like this is not where we're trying to be perfect, right? We're here to be authentic, man. And just, hey, man, not everyone's okay, and it's okay to not be okay, right? So like we appreciate you coming in with just however you are and however you're not. And also, man, I asked that dissertation question because, man, for any ambitious vet that's listening to this right now, trying to pursue higher education, and knowing after, and looking into going after a doctorate degree that opens up bigger and better doors, it's a grueling process. And I stopped at a bachelor's degree in psychology because I didn't feel like I hacked it for a master's and a doctorate degree. So just more power to you, man, for going after that, man. Cause I know the dissertation process probably just gets more uglier, bigger, and just grueling as you move up the ladder, for sure.
It is, man. It's scary, but you know what? It's doable.
Good, man. You're making it happen. You're paving the way. So that's great. So, I mean, I want to kind of shift gears and kind of like you came from the U.S. Army, man, and you went into child care, early childhood, I think is the right word to say, education. And what led you to to that career path getting out of the Army? Because like we don't, our temperament, man, when we get out of the military, is it like, hey, let's go work with 6-year-olds, right? So like what led you to that career path, brother?
Man, Chris, that's a really good question. So I always often say to people that things happen for me. It's always like a beautiful accident. Because I did not seek to do that at all. It was the furthest thing from what I wanted to do. When I was in the Army, as many of us do, it's kind of hard to explain to a person who hasn't served, but when it's your time to leave. You just know it. You can feel it. And then for some people, they don't have a choice, right? They just have to get out. For me, I did. I did have a choice. I did make the choice to leave. And when it happened, I actually wanted to go into education, into policy. I didn't want to serve in the classroom. I wanted to do some work in the community in some kind of way, doing some kind of some mentorship, or even bringing some resources to communities that look like the one that I grew up in. And I was able to do that with my experience in Education Pioneers. And I was actually doing some work logistically on the school. And while parents were coming in, bringing their kids in, I was reading books to kids while the kids were waiting for their parents to finish with talking with folks about like registration and whatnot. And there was a parent who said to me, oh my goodness, you're so good with kids. I think that you should go into teaching. And I thought that she was out of her mind. I was like, "Well, what? Like because in my head, I literally just transitioned from the Army into doing that. So I was still like, if you look at pictures of me, I'm still standing at attention. I still had this clean shaven face, and I got the beard. Like it was like I was still a soldier. But I gave it some thought, and I talked with my mom about it, and a few friends of mine, and I was like, you know what, maybe I could do this. So I applied to a fellowship in DC, and when I got there, I didn't know that they kind of judged our personalities and how we interacted with different people in the cohort based on what would be a good fit for us with the partner schools that they had. And they placed me with 4-year-olds in a pre-K classroom. And Chris, let me tell you, in the military, we have some scary things. In life, we have some scary things. Nothing to this date was scarier than like the thought of having to teach 4-year-olds. It was very scary, and I worked with Hannah. Big shout out to her. She was my lead teacher, and I was a fellow in her classroom for a year. And Chris, though it was the scariest like experience in the beginning, it became the best experience of my life.
Mm.
I could not have found a better job, or a better way to transition from the Army, and a
Wow.
better way to really bring out my personality. And so it ended up being a good fit, man.
Yeah, that's cool. And it sounds like you kind of fell into it too, right? Like just reading books and, just hearing that feedback, right? Which I think a lot of us shut down the feedback when we first are getting out, and we're pursuing post-military goals. We don't listen to the feedback that's right there in front of us. For some reason, our ears are turned off. I don't know, man. Maybe it's a pride issue, but it sounds like you heard that, and then you just kind of like continued to figure out what that next stair step was. And then yeah, man, I love you going in 4-year-olds and doing a student teacher role. It sounds like you did. And from there, just learning on how do you hurry up and wait with 4-year-olds, right?
Right. Right. Yeah, big shout out to the parent, man. Thank you for bringing that back to her, because I didn't even, sometimes I forget to thank her, because I don't think if she would have said that to me, that I would be where I am today and be doing what I'm doing. And with that, it's like, in the Army, we are, taught to be so uniform, right? We are in
Yep.
sync. We are dressed right, dressed. And you get into a classroom, and man, it's a different world. It's not, every child is different. Every child needs something new from you, or different. And you really do have to tap into your personality and your warmth, and like this, like your silliness and your empathy and everything. Like
Mm.
you have to tap into all of that. And fortunately, I was able to do that. I was just being myself, and it ended up being the best thing that I could have done as far as both my transition and also for professional reasons too.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think I read a quote or something from the Beyond the Uniform episode, and it was something around the lines of like, "Hey, I could lesson plan all day, but at the end of the day, there's silliness that has to arise, and that as well, right?" And it's, can you speak more on that around like, hey, how we can get out and we got to be so mission driven, outcome focused, right? Or people, the stakes in the military is like people die if we're not so mission driven, like outcome focused, right? And just how do we be as structured as possible? How do you start creating that like silliness and that adaptability, right, inside this field?
Yeah, so I think um there are things that I like when I talk about this, I try not to critique the military because everything that we do is with purpose. It saves lives. And quite frankly, we want to get everyone home. We want to accomplish the mission and we want to do it as a unit.
Hmm.
And we also have we have our regulations that we have to follow, right? We have very clear, I don't think that, any job ever could be clearer, right? Than being in the military. Everything you are supposed to do is in black and white. In teaching, it's there are some elements there, but I found that being rigid just doesn't work, particularly for young kids, because I didn't have a regulation to follow. We have curriculum, we have guidelines, we have lesson plans, right? I mean, and with good intention, right? We have to. I think having expectations and some milestones and some guidance overall for people on the staff and folks who are in front of kids to follow. I think that that's good for for considering where we want our kids to go. But as far as how that's implemented, right? You're gonna find that they just require a lot, man. They require so much. I think during the times when I taught, because I taught 4-year-olds, 3-year-olds, and 5-year-olds, and 6-year-olds too. And every day I just remember getting home being so exhausted that I didn't have time for anything else, man. I would probably like read a little bit and then go to sleep because it's all day I'm changing my voice when I'm reading a story. Like, we're not talking about the big bad wolf, like, like that, or
Yeah.
I'm imitating something like a bird. Like you have to change your voice when you're
Yeah,
reading,
man.
stories and doing things with your hands and doing things to keep their attention and to keep them engaged
Mm,
because they're so excited. They want to learn. Like their life is revolved around curiosity. They
mm.
just want to learn more and more and more. So with that, you really just want to keep them entertained, quite frankly.
Yeah, and it makes you have more fun too and be more lighter, right? To your point, man, like just being more flexible, more like just silly. In
Yeah.
other words, you don't have to be so serious or so, and some of our, my Marine Corps units I was in, we just occurred angry. You know what I mean? Just like letting all that go and just seeing that pure curiousness to your point of children just it's hard to be serious whenever you got a kid throwing spaghetti at you or, stuff like that. It's just like all you gotta do is laugh at yourself, man. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
man. You do. It's there are days, when like I would purposely like put my shirt on backwards, like my pants on backwards, like my shoes on like the wrong feet, just to like ask them and ask them, do you notice something different about me today? Just and just and it's also, for people who are in the classroom, it's also a really good way to brighten a kid's day. Like if they're just not really having it that day, just make them laugh.
Yep.
Just figure out a way to do that. So
Yeah, no, that's really cool, man. And just learning how to like soften up your tone, over exaggerate stuff.
mhm,
I think all that stuff is super important that I don't think we value enough when we get out of the military, knowing how to do that and how much that actually influences and helps out in our communication, just, from the ground up, from, 4-year-olds all the way up to, baby boomers, right? How do you fluctuate your tonality versus just being commander in chief all the time,
yeah.
right? So now you went from childhood education, you're evolving, right? And I think you're at the point now where you're wanting to educate educators, right? And fill in the timeline gaps for that, and what led you, Kate, morphing from childhood education to now, wanting to get out and really impact the educational, foundation in, some words, today. Like what led you to this?
Yeah, so being I have to say I am one of the people who I don't have a story about how frustrated I was in the classroom or, something that took me away from it. I had those are the best years of my life. And after I retire from doing this, I'm going to go back and teach as a preschool teacher, even if it's just for volunteering. But what I did though was I did notice that I really wanted to figure out different ways to cultivate joy in the lives of people who were preparing to teach, because that's how I learned. The
Mm.
people who taught me, Jessica and Monisha and all these other great folks, who really helped me to figure out different ways to bring joy into the lives of children. And so that's what led me to want to do it from a level of preparing other teachers, and also through research. And so now I'm looking at the work of Gholdy Muhammad and other folks who talk about bringing love and joy into the lives of our students within their context and culture. And now that I'm teaching pre-service teachers, I'm trying to bring that to the forefront too, because they get so much. You see in the news. We all see in the news that people have a lot of opinions about how we teach kids and what's the best way to do this and the best way to do that. And I don't know that there's one best way to be a good teacher other than understanding that every child needs something different from you, but love and joy will work every single time for every
Mm.
single child. So that's really one of the things that aside from phonics and all those different things that kids need to learn how to read, who they are and who and how they see others and how they see the world, that matters too. And so I think that that's something that I'm really trying to get my students to think about as they're embarking on their own journeys in the classroom.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. Love and joy, man. Imagine if we had more acceptance in the world today. Woo! Oh, man.
Yeah, I just think those are the two components that I would say I think that matter most in the classroom. And I also forgot to say uh, doing this from or going from the K-12 and to higher ed. I sought the program that I'm in now. So I'm at Penn GSE in reading, writing, literacy. And in the program, we do a lot of critical thought around these conversations from different contexts with culture, with language, with identity, with immigration, with so many different things.
Which is
And
so important. And it's a missing soft skill of critical thinking, strategic thinking, and how do we think outside the box and not, I'm sure, and we could probably create a whole nother episode around that in itself. I'm just not in the domain, but man, I can see how we just need to step back and critically think. So you're teaching that right now for the most part, right?
yeah, we just
Nice.
draw on the ways in which reading the world is just another extension of the word for literacy, right? How do we see ourselves and we see others?
Hmm. Yeah, man, that's huge. I can just see how much of an impact that would make from a teacher standpoint of like how to step away from the political agendas and all this other opinion based stuff that may or may not be relevant, and just focusing on you and how you can deliver the best curriculum that you want to deliver, right?
Yeah,
um so huge. So last topic I want to dive and unpackage inside of here, which is one reason why you're here, is like why the educational field is so relevant to veterans, right? Like why is one of your core missions to help veterans get into the educational field? Why what has veterans be able to be a good fit for the educational world in your opinion?
I think for one, I think uh, for the field of education, it really takes so for me, it it wasn't something that I saw myself doing until I was actually in it.
Hmm.
And so for I think the reason why is because I think it goes back to what you said before about how our trajectory outside of the military may not look like singing
Mm.
songs and reading books with kids, but I would argue that it could look like that. It could look like, you, not you specifically, but anyone who's listening, hanging up your boots, and, you know, not walking right dress, or, being so rigid in your thinking and you're doing, and just kind of letting go a little bit,
Mm.
getting more in tune, with feelings, and understanding that every child needs something different from each of us. And the I will say though, I think that we have experience, where we're used to responding to certain things in a certain way, and we use so many different skills to do our job. I think that teaching is the same way, but I will say, I do caution, different people who are in this work, to not just throw veterans into the classroom, without the training that other teachers get, without the support that other teachers get, having mentor teachers, feedback on their lessons, really understanding the nuts and bolts of how this is not just a science, but an art. And I would encourage folks to really, if you haven't thought about it, give it some thought. If you haven't, if you can't see your, and it doesn't have to be with just working with young kids. You can go to high school, to middle school, you can teach adults. We have a place here. We have a place, in education. We have life experience. We have, structure and values, and courage, and, a whole host of skills that I think would be useful, in changing the lives of others.
Yeah, I love what you said around there's a difference between science and art, and we need to tune into the art as well. And one thing that you kind of like just opened up in my head over here too, man, was, and I'm sure the listeners is getting their own stuff as well. But I'm just like, man, like getting out of the military and going in and figuring out how to teach individual needs to individual students, right? And just the strength in that, the strengths and skills that can be developed in that alone, and being more compassionate and meeting people where they're at. Man, you know what I mean? That's
Absolutely.
awesome. That's awesome. So we want to kind of wrap this up with the last segment of the show, and then give an ambitious vet an opportunity to go and learn more and connect with you. There's a vet out there that's been out for a few years, realized that immediate transitional education has expired. Either career readiness, healthcare, understanding of healthcare benefits, stuff like that. They've realized, okay, done deal, basic needs are met. What's next? I want to figure out who I am, what I want, and how to execute on it, right? Or there may be another vet that's about to get out and they have huge ambitions, but they don't know what's coming, man, that we know is coming, right?
Mhm.
And what would be a last golden grenade or a couple golden grenades you'd want to provide to that ambitious vet? And then we'll send them to go learn more about you.
Uh, for I would say two. I think the first golden grenade would be, to really take time to do your research, on where you want to be, because geography matters. Every state has different requirements for people who go into the classroom. So just understanding what's required of you as far as the number of hours that you have to do, in your training, for grad school, whether or not you have to do some clinical work. And there are also some organizations, that focus on helping vets. There are some that are local, or they're germane to the state, or and then there's some at the federal level, and I mean, so many of them. I would definitely just take your time to do the research. And then for the second part is, for vets who want to go in education. It doesn't have to be teaching. You don't have to go into the classroom if you don't think that, you would be effective, enough in the classroom. There are tons of different ways to get involved in education. You can work in operations, you can work in research, you can work, on a staff, and because we all need each other in a school, all of us rely on each other to make school, a place where we cultivate love, for every child who walks through the door. So yeah, don't I don't want to discount those, the impacts of those roles. And, if you found some research or something that's a little bit ambiguous, or you kind of want some advice about like where to go, forward, please, hit me up on LinkedIn or Twitter. My 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 handle is at Daris Mcinnis on Twitter. You can email me at dmckinnis@upenn.edu. You can find me on LinkedIn. I would be happy to work with you because our transition from the military into teaching does look different than civilians, and there are a lot of some loopholes. But I urge you to answer the call to teach or to serve if you feel that call.
Daris, thanks so much for joining the show, brother. And Ambitious Vet, all those links will be in the show notes below. Take care, Daris.
Thank you for having me.
The Ambitious Vet is available on all popular podcast platforms. Go to vettrainingcoaching.com to subscribe, rate, and share with fellow vets.
Are you ready to dive into the trenches inside of an exclusive community learning platform with other growth-minded veterans looking to grow and advance in everyday life just like you? If you said yes, come in and check out our community learning platform, which is in the middle of a beta launch where we seek to equip you with the tools, connections, and content to succeed in life and all areas of life post-military, right? Our goal with this thing is for you to come in, apply, take a self-assessment, and then from there be match-maked and connected with other ambitious vets that are looking to improve in the same area that you are, but also matchmake you to other content and coursework and live virtual masterclasses with some of the top subject matter expertise in those areas so you can learn, grow, and advance in the trenches of life. So if you are saying, hey, I want to be one of the initial beta users to provide us some crucial feedback, we definitely need it. And we want to make sure that everyone that joins after you, the product just continues to evolve and get better. If you are one of the ones that want to come and check it out, go click on Google and search ambitiousvetnetwork.com. From there, you can apply to be verified as an actual veteran. We want to build the integrity inside this platform by building trust ahead of time by getting verified veterans inside of it. From there, you'll get a 14-day trial started with your self-assessment, and then away you go with taking courses and connecting with other ambitious vets just like you. They're looking to get out of their own way and be equipped with the right connections and content to be unstoppable with your post-military goals. Again, that's ambitiousvetnetwork.com. Go check it out right now.